been a ton of talk about the PlayStation 5 Pro and the fact that Sony is in fact working on the PlayStation 5 Pro sometime early to mid next year. And I started to bounce around these ideas in my mind because that's how my mind works. I instantly go to the glass half empty. I don't know why I'm like that, but it just happens. And I started to make these comparisons, and I came up with this analogy that I think sort of speaks to Microsoft's strategy, maybe being not totally bad and at best correct. And it goes something like this. Everyone thinks that the Xbox Series S is a weaker system compared to the Xbox Series X. They think that because it's true. Now, some people say that developers are having a hard time developing games for the Xbox Series S. And by some people, I mean actual developers, not people on Twitter whose lives and YouTube channels are tied, curiously, to Xbox. So, we all know that if you have two SKUs in one generation, and one actually is a different SKU internally, not just one is physical, one is digital, but like the Xbox Series X and S, the Xbox Series S has much less RAM, different innards, that's a fancy word for inside, than the Xbox Series X. So you're never going to fully tap into the power of the Xbox Series X unless you just forget about that Series S, and you're starting to see some games ask to be sort of released without features. They're having problems. Some developers have them, some developers don't, and the developers that don't are probably making those concessions up front. But here's where things get interesting. If Sony in fact decides to make a PlayStation 5 Pro, that's almost validating Microsoft's strategy, because then they'd be creating their own Xbox Series S situation. Are you ever going to get a game developed exclusively that takes advantage of all the extra power in the PlayStation 5 Pro? Conceivably, it would have more RAM, which it will, higher clock speeds, instead of just getting games designed specifically for the base PlayStation 5, and then your PlayStation 5 Pro version gets higher resolution and higher frame rates, and that's somehow supposed to be the driving force in you purchasing it. You're never actually going to get full utilization from the PlayStation 5 Pro. And think about this. PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5. We've already seen games developed exclusively with PlayStation 4 in mind. Horizon Forbidden West was ported over to the PlayStation 5. Higher resolution, higher frame rate, some graphical features added in, but essentially a PlayStation 4 version of a game on the PlayStation 5. They haven't really taken advantage of the PlayStation 5. And if you think this is a far-fetched idea, Horizon Forbidden West is getting DLC that is not releasing on the PlayStation 4. And they say that because of that, they can now fully take advantage of the PlayStation 5, which is what I'm talking about here. So if they're confirming this and then thinking about releasing a PlayStation 5 Pro, what would be the difference between what Microsoft did at the start of this generation? I say, not much difference at all. Now, of course, we know there is a market for these Pro consoles because they've already existed before the PlayStation 4 Pro, the Xbox Series X. People purchase them, so of course, if there's a market for something and there's money to be made, these companies will create these products for us to spend more money. I just thought it was interesting that essentially the Xbox Series S is holding back the X, but so would the PlayStation 5 hold back the PlayStation 5 Pro. And if that situation is actually being created by Sony, then what is the difference between the situation that Microsoft created at the beginning of this generation by releasing essentially two SKUs that Sony's about to do, releasing two SKUs that PlayStation did last generation, releasing two SKUs, and Xbox did last generation, releasing, I think, 67.8 SKUs. I don't know. I thought it was interesting. If I sounded like I was underneath of a wind tunnel at the beginning of this video, I apologize. I'm underneath of a large Hadron Collider, waiting for two elementary particles to slam together. Let me know what you think in the comments section below about this theory I've come up with. I thought it was interesting. I thought it would be entertaining. I thought it would be a nice thought experiment to think about. And I'm interested to know why you think I'm wrong in the comment section below. If you would do me a favor, we are at 555 subscribers. I never thought I'd get here, and I appreciate every one of you, and I would like you to think about, that doesn't make sense. I was going to say we're at 555 subscribers, and I appreciate every one of you, and I would like you to think about liking and subscribing. You've already done that. See how my mind works? Anyway, if you're somebody that hasn't liked and hasn't subscribed, see, that makes more sense. Think about liking and subscribing then, and I'll see you in the next video.